Okay, so let's take a look at what we have in the layers palette now. We have our original background layer. So when you open a Photoshop file, it always has a background layer, unless for some reason you've changed it or discarded it for some reason. But normally when you first open a document in Photoshop, it's going to default the background layer to the background. And it's somewhat restricted. That you can see that by the lock here. Above that, I have a background copy, which I created by dragging the background layer to the new layer icon, which gave me that background copy. And now above that, I have a layer with just this fish on it, which we've created by creating a selection of the fish, and then Command J using the keyboard shortcut for new layer via copy. Now if we take a look at just this layer with the fish, this checkerboard area around the background here is transparent area, meaning there's no pixels there. So across the top of the layers palette here, just above my top layer, you can see that I have multiple locks here. So this first lock allows me to lock the transparency, which means that if I take a paintbrush with some black paint, or anything for that matter, and I try to paint on that transparent area, nothing's going to happen because the transparent area is locked. Contrary to that, if I drag across my fish, you can see that my black paint does work on my fish. So I just undid that. So that's what locking the transparent area does for you. Next, I've locked the pixel area. So it's telling me now that I can't paint anywhere on this because I've locked all of the area that there could be pixels in this image. So I can't do any painting or physical manipulation of the pixels because I've locked that out. The next lock locks position. So at the moment, if I click on my move tool, I can position this fish anywhere I want on the layer. So I can position the fish anywhere I want on the layer. If I lock the position, now if I try to move it, it's going to yell at me and say, sorry, you can't move that because it's locked. And then finally, I have the little padlock, which locks all of those things. I can't paint on any of the pixels, I can't move it. Basically, that layer is locked down. And the whole reason these are here are just basically to protect the layer from yourself, so that you don't accidentally paint on it or you don't accidentally move it out of place if you need to make sure that that fish stays in registration. So that's what all those guys are for. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this fish. So I'm just going to drag and drop a copy. So now it's hard to see right now because it's sitting right on top of itself, but in reality, whoops, that's locked. In reality, I have two fish there. And I'm going to do that again so that I end up with three fish. So now I have three fish. So I'm going to take all three fish now. I'm going to select them by holding the shift key down and selecting multiple fish. Now I can create what's called a group by clicking down here next to the new icon is a little group folder. So if I click on that, it creates a new group for me, and now I can take those three fish and I can put them inside that group. The cool thing about that is now that they're a group, and I'll name that real quick. I double clicked on the group 1 name. So now that I have all those, I can manipulate all three fish as a